All right, fans of music, welcome back. It is Dave, the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people just like you right there, just like yours truly right here. I haven't talked about this yet. This story broke a few days ago. Huey Lewis has been forced off of the road. He can no longer do live performances because of a condition called Meniere's disease. This is a condition of the inner ear which causes all kinds of havoc, including hearing noise that won't go away. Much like some of the other inner ear conditions, it's going to be debilitating for a guy who makes his living singing for his supper, his lunch, and probably his breakfast as well. To quote one of Huey's own songs, sometimes bad is bad, and this is bad. I'm just devastated by this news because Huey had a new album in the works, which the News and himself haven't recorded in a number of years, and he had a few new songs that every once in a while he'd allow the folks to listen to. Typically a tongue-in-cheek type thing when Huey would say, "Are you guys able to handle this?" And I know what he's talking about when it comes to new music. He had a tune that he was playing a lot called While We're Young, which was, again, sort of spoofing the fact that the band is getting up there in years, and ironically, this condition has more or less made that song mean something more than I'm sure Huey wanted it to mean. Obviously, Huey is looking for some type of answer. He's been to a number of different clinics, including Mayo, trying to get the answer to this issue, but in his words, I think he said something like, it could get better, but it just hasn't. So Huey Lewis and the News have been sidelined, and they're still going strong prior to this. Their concert performances still very strong. Huey still has a strong voice. At times, I think he gets a little whiny in his tone when he sings. I notice he likes to hold the microphone kind of away a little bit. And I think in order to get the right tone in his voice, he has to kind of sing louder than he used to. But other than that, I mean, he really hasn't lost a step. Looks pretty good for his age. The problem with just the idea of no more Huey Lewis in the News is that, again, this is another cultural marker, another musical marker that we all kind of lived through in the 80s. Even prior to the Sports album, yours truly had the Picture This album, which was the breakthrough album. And then when Sports came out, it was like all hell broke loose. I mean, this album was everywhere. And it was single after single. Rock stations had things to play. The top 40 stations had stuff to play. The adult contemporary stations had stuff to play. I remember hearing Huey talk about how that album was designed for radio airplay. It was designed to basically have something for everyone. It includes one of my favorite tunes about the Vietnam War called Walking on a Thin Line. Just an incredible song. It wasn't written by Huey. It was an outside writer. But Huey chose well to record that song, as it had a lot of meaning back in those days when it came out, and I never hear it on the radio anymore. I hear If This Is It a million times, but I don't hear Walking on a Thin Line. The band, of course, would continue to record great albums. They took a huge chance on the Small World album, doing more jazzy, bluesy, more experimental stuff. I believe they had some real big name horn players and so forth on that album. One of my favorite Huey albums because it just was so rich and had so much music in it. And then, things sort of went sour because Huey decided that he wanted to take a chance musically, and the record label was probably ticked off at him. It wasn't until, I think, EMI signed the band in the early 90s that we heard Couple Days Off. and some of those other really good songs from that particular period of Huey. Of course, he would have several other revivals, including a tune called Cruisin', which was a duet, and then, you know, he came out with some other stuff, which were covers and so forth, but he's been on adult contemporary radio since the formats kind of switched, where you couldn't get a song by Huey Lewis on a rock station anymore, or a top 40 station for that matter. It's really sad. I'm hoping Huey can recover. This is kind of devastating news for him and the band and all of his fans. I'm one of them. If I could get the Huey t-shirt, Huey Lewis t-shirt today, I'd be wearing it, because he is a one-of-a-kind performer. He gave us so much music. He gave us The Power of Love and Back in Time, and that whole, you know, Marty McFly era and Huey Lewis. They kind of go together, and it's just kind of sad that Huey's been sidelined. Let's hope that he can recover from this. I'll be back with more real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me, and we'll do it again real soon.